Hey everyone, I'm really excited to show you some of the really cool capabilities that we built into the TED Talk Corpus. And what I'll first do is I'll show you how to navigate to it, how you can download the TED Talk Corpus in English and Spanish. And more languages are coming. We just need some time to process each language. It usually takes about 3 weeks for each language to be processed correctly. And then we can get them out into the bookstore. But anyway, we can go to File, WordCruncher Bookstore, and assuming you have the collection WordCruncher library open, then you can go down into the filters and select Collections, and then the TED Corpus should be there, and you can click on the Free button or the Change button, whichever one you see, and then you'll be able to download them with an Install button here. So I'm just going to open up both the English and the Spanish. The way that I'll do that is I'll go to File, Open Book, and under WordCruncher Library, Collections, TED Corpus, I'm going to open both. I already have the English one open, so I'll open up the Spanish one. And I'll go to Window, Tile Vertically. That way you can see both of them right next to each other. Now, the first cool thing that I want to show you is that the sentences align so that as I'm scrolling on the Spanish, the English will also scroll, and so it matches each other. This isn't a new feature in WordCruncher necessarily. We've had that available in our general conference addresses and our scriptures, and now also in our Quran multilingual version, and this is the TED Talk version. But the difference is all of that is already really structured data, so that's super easy to actually synchronize those kinds of things. What's not easy is that if you go and look at the content of the TED Talk transcripts, they're not really aligned very well. And what we had to do is actually basically take each TED Talk and strip it and put it into different sentences on each line. We just basically had to do a bunch of work in order to identify each sentence. You'll notice that there's a number at the beginning of each sentence in the English, and almost the same numbers in Spanish as well. Now, there are some times where we just weren't able to automatically align specific sentences. For some reason, this didn't work quite right from sentences 23 to 25 in here. But usually in the newer talks, there's only like 1 or 2 sentences that don't align. So as you're reading through it mostly as you are, if you're reading at the top, that 30 is going to show up at the 30 at top. So we did some really cool things that relate to taking both the English and Spanish, translating them into this other language, so the English text into Spanish, and then the Spanish into English, and then comparing the sentences to each other to be able to align these sentences so that a language learner like me can actually read these TED Talks in a different language, but can always have the other language next to each other. So in the future, we're going to have French, German, Portuguese, and my favorite, Malay, going to be in here. And if, of course, not every TED Talk in English is translated into the separate language, so you'll only be able to see the ones that English has. So for example, I'm pretty sure if I scroll, there will be some talks that just don't exist in the Spanish, so it will have a little problem there. But if you find a talk that's the same, and many of them are translated in Spanish, then you can see all of them. So that's one really cool feature that we have here in this TED Talk collection. Now let me get into the search features. So if I press the spacebar, or I could also click on the search tool right here, and what I have is just the normal average search window. But we've tagged every word by part of speech, at least most words. It's not a perfect system, so some things are messy. However, it's a pretty accurate thing. I just sorted it by frequency, so you can see the words like the and of. And I also have this part of speech column up that gives a slightly smaller or an easier way to read it. So you can search things, and it's separated by part of speech. So you can have many different things. For example, I'm seeing the word like. Now, like is usually a verb. However, in this case, like is being used as a preposition. So we can search for it, and we can see some different examples like that. So I know it sounds a little thing to you. So like if I double click on that, it's actually kind of interesting. We can actually kind of align that up, assuming that the sentences are aligned right, and be able to, actually see what the English or Spanish translation of it is. Now, unfortunately, Al Gore's Averting the Climate Crisis, that is a talk that didn't really get aligned. You can see that there are many, many sentences in this very first talk that didn't get aligned correctly. But anyway, another cool feature that you can go to is if you change the word list to lemmas, now what you're going to see is you're going to see not part of speech anymore, but you do have the part of speech like we _ pronoun. And so these are the head words. If you're not familiar with the word lemma, then these are the head words. And so if you look for something like church, if you search for that, it's not just going to look for the word church, although in this case it kind of does look like that. You will also look for any versions of it. So suppress might be a better word because there's more forms of it. But if I go and take a look at the search vocabulary report, I see that it searched and it found suppress, suppressed, suppressing, and suppresses. So that's one way that you can be able to look up all of these different words and be able to get more data back, so that you're not just looking for one specific word. You can look for a word family or a head word in this case. Another thing that might be interesting to you if you're interested in more in-depth things is that we also have added morphological features to each word. So similar to part of speech, you can also get some things. So for example, the most common feature in this corpus is that a word is considered singular, or that a verb is considered finite. Or that it's third person. Let's just do that. For example, I'm going to insert this into my search bar, so person equals 3. And what it will do is it will show me all of the words that have marked as third person. And so sure enough, we're seeing it as third person. And we're also seeing some verbs as third person as well. So these are all features that we've added so that you can search, study, and analyze language just a little bit more in depth. So, of course, we're always excited to get feedback, and so if you are ever interested and you have questions or you want improvements, just let us know at wordcruncher@byu.edu, and we'll be happy to talk with you and discuss different details on new updates. So that's the TED Talk Corpus highlight. I hope this was interesting to you, and you'll go ahead and download this in English and Spanish, and very soon we'll have Portuguese, French, and German up in the next few weeks. So thanks for watching.